Between the Chapters book club members. Admin LJ here once again with one of our really exciting author chats. I have been looking forward to this one all week. I think it's going to be a really special treat to kind of kick off the weekend, have a nice relaxed Friday afternoon chatting with a very special guest. Today's honoree, special guest, whatever term you want to use today, is Krista Davis. She is a New York Times bestselling author of the Domestic Diva Mystery Series, as well as the Pen and Ink Mystery Series, which is the series we're going to be chatting a little bit more about today. The newest book in that series is Murder Outside the Lines, which features a psychic, a bookstore manager, coloring book author, and of course, a little bit of murder and mystery to go with the mayhem of it all. I really enjoy these books, not just because you can color in the front and back cover of the books. How fun is that? Make it your own to add to your collection. But there's just so much excitement with the characters that really jump off the pages. And, there's something so fun about cozy mysteries. They're really fun to kind of dive into and get to wrap yourself up in for a little bit, especially if you're like me and you're a little bit of a scaredy cat who can't handle the gruesome, scary mysteries. They're perfect for a nice, relaxed weekend. So I'm excited to talk about it with the author herself. So please join me down in the comment section. I will be watching during our half-hour chat. If you have questions for Krista or you want to join in on the conversation, leave those comments down below. We will try to get to them throughout the half hour. And of course, as always, if you leave a question for our special guest before our half hour ends, so that's before 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you will be entered to win a flash giveaway as well. So make sure you drop those questions down below to be entered to win, and hopefully we'll get to your question during our chat. That being said, please join me in welcoming our special guest, Krista Davis.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Krista. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
I am thrilled to be here. I really am. I've been looking forward to this.
I can say that our book club has been as well. And, we chatted a little bit before we came on air. You know how much I love you getting to talk with you. We've done some Q&As in the past before. So I'm always excited to get to talk to you a little bit.
Oh, thanks. And I just wanted to say, is this a book or a coffin in the back behind you?
Oh, that is a bookshelf decoration. It is a coffin.
How appropriate, because there's a coffin in Murder Outside the Lines.
Yes. So Murder Outside the Lines is around Halloween time, which everyone in the group knows is my favorite holiday, So I couldn't put away the Halloween decorations until we had a chance to talk.
Very appropriate.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, that being said, for any readers in our book club who haven't had a chance to pick up this book yet, can you tell us a little bit about Murder Outside the Lines and a little bit about the Pen and Ink Mystery Series?
Well, I'll start with the fact that you can color the covers. This is Murder Outside the Lines, and you can tell that the cover looks kind of different from other covers because it is meant to be colored in. It has a special coating on it that's meant for coloring. Works great with just plain coloring pencils in almost any brand, I find. And the other thing that I noticed is that it works really well with alcohol-based pens. And the good news is that if you're one of those people who cannot bring yourself to write or touch a book, a lot of people really don't like that. You can download it from Kensington. Mm-hmm. And you can print it on any kind of paper, and you can use your gel pens on whatever paper you download if that's what you prefer. This is the first one in the series that I colored myself with, and I'm not a pro at coloring. Wait a minute, there we go. And this was just done with pencils. There was nothing fancy about it, just plain old color pencils. So they work fine. And I always forget how soothing it is to color. There's something about it that just relaxes you. And I am not the first to mention that. I mean, they knew that like in the 1700s, people were coloring. And people of leisure were supposed to color because they used to color maps and things, so they learned when they were coloring. But anyway, it does make these books kind of fun because you can make it look the way you envision the world. And the back covers are also meant to be colored. And let me just mention that we always, right around here, and this time a couple on the back, we've got some clues. So look for those when you're reading the book or listening to it. In Murder Outside the Lines, Florrie Fox, who is a coloring book artist for adults. So in other words, she's the one who makes the beautiful sketches that then people like me come along and color. She also manages a bookstore, and it's close to Halloween, and they have invited an author who is a psychic to come for a reading and to sign books. But when she arrives, she says she saw a murder. But then she's not sure that she saw a murder. The one thing she's sure of is that she saw a foot sticking out of a rug. But when Florrie's boyfriend, who happens to be a police officer, when he goes to check, there's nothing there. There's no blood, there's no foot, there's no rug, there's just nothing there. So nobody really knows. Is she trying to build up excitement about her book? Is she trying to get publicity?
Right.
Or is she really sensing something? And so it takes off from there, but she continues to think that there will be more murders, even though so far there aren't any bodies.
I do have to say, the coloring job that you did on your book cover looks 5 times better than anything I attempted when I first tried to color in these covers. It looked like a 3-year-old had gotten a hold of my art supplies. So yours is very impressive.
Thank you. I do like doing them, but and these colors are the covers are very, very precise. I mean, they're you really have to pay attention to what you're doing. Yeah,
that's for sure. I was curious when, reading through the book, are you yourself, like, do you believe in psychics and, things of that nature?
It's a good question. I am really interested in the subject of ghosts because I grew up in a family where, just like Florrie did, her parents said, they're fun, but they don't exist. And that was how it was in my family. Nobody believed in them. It was nonsense, but, okay, have your fun. And then after some family members died, we started seeing things.
Right.
Having little experiences, nothing major, nothing really major. For me, it was, I've had 2 occasions where there were clouds on pictures that just don't make any sense because there are no clouds before or after. But so anyway, I guess I'm more open to it now than I was before, especially when family members who were adamant about there are no ghosts have kind of changed their minds because they're convinced that they saw somebody.
Right.
So I'm kind of, on the fence.
Okay.
It's fun to research. One of the things I will just mention real quickly that I mentioned in the book is I forget what it's called, but there's a section of UVA, University of Virginia, in the medical center. So, I mean, we're talking about serious scientists, not just some kind of goofballs who have no association with anything legitimate. And they have done a lot of research on this subject, and it's fascinating. Go to YouTube and look for UVA and psychics, and their talks will come up. It's really interesting.
I will say we do have some readers on the chat who say they absolutely believe ghosts are real, and I do agree with those readers. So,
have you seen one?
I definitely think I have. So, I definitely believe in it. Psychics scare me. I won't lie. It does scare me a little bit. So, but speaking of our readers, we do have a couple of reader questions coming in already. One of them, which I really,
everybody.
Yes, always thank you for tuning in. It's so much more fun when the readers are participating with us. I love this question. What was your favorite part of writing Murder Outside the Lines? Is there a moment that stands out to you?
There are several moments, and I have to say I had a lot of fun with it. I am not I'm not a big historical reader, but when I tripped over a few things that are historical and I included them in the book, I was fascinated. I was just things that I really could not believe happened in the United States, like the grave robbers. I mean, to me, that's something like Egyptian pyramids. It's not something that I think happened right here in Boston or New York. I mean, during a certain period of time in the country, that was actually a big issue and a big problem here.
Right.
That was a lot of fun, something that I had no idea about.
Yeah, I'm hugely fascinated by most areas of history, which a lot of our readers know if they've watched any of my past Q&As with authors. I have an added benefit on that particular topic. My father is a funeral home director, so I've always been surrounded by funeral things. So I think I learned about that at a very young age. Did not realize most people didn't know about it. So it's a very fascinating area of history. And I love that you were able to bring that into the story a little bit.
That's funny. It's something we have in common because when I was growing up, one of my best friends, her dad ran a funeral home. And so we used to hang out around there. Yeah.
Yeah, you always get weird looks when you say you were hanging out at a funeral home.
But upstairs there was like a normal apartment.
Right. Oh, I know all about it. Trust me.
I'm sure you do.
This is very much in line with that same question. Plus, I just like the comment. It's a very sweet comment from this reader. They said that they love your books and they're curious about how you keep coming up with such wonderful reads and mysteries, which I agree. Your books are always so much fun to read. So how do you kind of keep that, fun spirit and energy alive throughout all of your work?
Well, that's really, really sweet. And I'm so thrilled to hear it. I think because if I'm bored, I think the reader will be bored. And so I start going in different directions, I think. I don't plan my books. I have to say a lot of authors, they really plan it from beginning to end. And I've talked to some people who think that's the only way you can do it. But I get a kick out of writing them. That's my fun, is writing them and coming up with the stories and figuring out how everybody meshes together, and which is probably why I have more characters than I should, because everybody has somebody else, boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, things like that. But I'm having fun writing it because I like to see it develop. And maybe that's why it's sort of unexpected and I hope fun for people to read.
That reminds me, that makes me think of a question that I always love to ask authors who say that they're not a plotter and that they really just kind of fly by the seat of their pants. I'm really curious, when you were writing, and particularly when you were working on Murder Outside the Lines, did you ever have a moment where the story went in a totally different direction than you thought it would, or a character really just changed from your initial thoughts on them?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I will say that while I don't write a synopsis or anything, I mean, I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. I do need to know who the killer is and what the motive is, because if I don't know that, I don't know what happened that brought us to the book and the situation. So those are two things that I do have to know. 3 times the killer tricked me.
Interesting.
I've written like 25 books, so only 3 times the killer turned out to be someone else. I was writing along one book in particular, I was sure it was this guy, and I just kept writing and writing. I thought, he's such a nice guy. There's no way he would have done this. He would have done that thing. There's just no way. But I realized that there was someone else who was kind of lurking in the wings and was the appropriate person. So yeah, sometimes the book does take a strange twist. And I will say, just for people who are wondering about it, in case there are any writers out there, what I do, if I think the story is going to go off and, just veer off in a totally different direction, I will save the original where I was. And then I'll say Murder Outside the Lines 2 and go from there. So if it doesn't work out, I
You
can
can
go
go
back to the
back.
other one. I haven't lost everything that I've done that far.
That's brilliant. I probably would have not thought to do that if I were trying to write, and then I would just have a breakdown.
I think
Honestly,
that's
I'm not
brilliant.
organized enough.
I don't think it's brilliant, but it's being practical because you don't want to lose what you've already got if you have to go back.
Right. No, that makes total sense. And like I said, I think it's brilliant. So I think you can hold on to that title for a little bit.
Thanks.
Um, since you do kind of let the characters and stories inspire themselves and, go forward as they will, do you base any characters off of people you know in real life or that you've interacted with? Do you bring that real world component into your work?
I don't base them on particular people. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
I will pick up a trend or a habit that somebody has
Right.
and incorporate it. There was one woman, and I did base a character on her, actually. I have no idea who she is, but I based a character on it. I was at PetSmart, and I was
Mm-hmm.
waiting in line, and it was taking forever. And you know how you
Right.
start leaning to the side and
Yes.
see what is going on. And there was this woman there. It was like 2 p.m. She was dressed in a beautiful cocktail dress, had
Mm-hmm.
on high heels that I could not walk on. I mean, really high
Mm-hmm.
heels. Her hair was a mess. It looked
Oh,
like my hair looks when I get out of bed in the morning, and she
right.
put a clip in it and it was hanging to the side. And she was buying 2 cans of cat food and was just doling out coins out of her purse.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, A, who buys 2 cans of cat food? I mean, if you have a cat,
Right.
you know you're going to need more. And why was she paying in like pennies and nickels and having to,
Mm-hmm.
count out her change? So I watched her as she walked off, and she got in this unbelievably expensive, snazzy sports car.
Oh
I
no.
was so intrigued by her.
Right.
I did base a character on her, yes.
I feel like she would be in the back of my mind for a very long time.
Yeah, it was just really strange. I couldn't figure. And what was she doing in the cocktail dress at 2 in the
Right.
Was she on her way to the hairdresser to have her hair
Mm-hmm.
done, so she just didn't even brush it? Or did she, were those the clothes she wore the night before? And she's
Right.
so I don't know. I don't know what this, and she doesn't know that there's a character based on her. She has no idea. To be careful what you do out in public because there's always a
Right.
doctor watching.
I was about to say, I feel like I love to people watch and I love to like in my brain just envision what their lives must be like. But I would think as a writer that must be really, it's either something really fun or a bit of a nightmare because you don't want it to influence you too much.
Well, but people are what it's really all about.
Mm-hmm.
What they do and what they say and the way they act. And lots of times their homes, their home life, or the lives that they have are not what one would think. People
Right.
put up a good face very
Mm-hmm.
often. And I think that's interesting to write about when they really have deep problems that they, you can't tell. When you
Right.
meet them, you can't tell because they look like they've got everything. Well, practically no one does.
Right. I do love that. I always love a character with a good layered story that, aren't, they may not be quite what you think when you first meet them. It's always fun as a reader too.
It's fun as a writer.
I bet. We have a reader question. It's very similar to a question I always ask. So we're going to ask it now. If you could be a character in one of your books, who would you want to be?
I think I would have to go with Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
That's from the Diva Mysteries. I like Old Town, and who wouldn't like to have a really nice big house in Old Town that you inherit?
Right.
Right there, that's awfully appealing. And I like her friends. She has a really nice group of friends surrounding her, and I think she is very confident in her own self.
Mm-hmm.
She has her moments, of course, when she thinks, oh, no, we can't be doing this. But I really like that character. Yeah, I think I would have to go with Sophie. And I don't mean to offend the other characters. You see, they're real to me.
Yes, well, so speaking of, I am going to ask the question that I love to ask an author. It's a little bit of a mean question. If you could spend one day with a character, any character in your books, and you can do anything, you can go to their world or they can come to your world. Who is the one character you would want to spend a day with?
Well, I'm going to flip-flop on that one. And I'm going to say, I think I would like to spend a day with Holly. Oh, but she's not a Kensington book. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. We love to hear about everything.
Wagtail is just such an unbelievable place. And people write me all the time and ask me if it really exists because they want to go there. I would move there if there were a Wagtail. So if anyone knows a builder, clue them in. Just so that other readers will know about it. It's a place that redefined itself and went to the cats and the dogs. They are welcome everywhere, in the restaurants and the hotels, everywhere. Everything is about the cats and dogs. And I think that would be tremendous fun.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to spend my days surrounded by animals of all kinds, but especially cats and dogs. I have cats running around my feet right now, trying to knock over the tripod. So I'm all for it.
I have to admit that I have some cat food here, just in case mine start appearing. But I think they're napping.
Yes, mine don't respond to treats. They just want to get into trouble. So that doesn't work for mine, unfortunately. One of the things I'm curious about, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you did do a little bit of research, particularly with the psychics and, the psychic storyline involved with Murder Outside the Lines. How much research do you put into your cozy mysteries before, do you do it before you approach the story, while you're writing? What is that process like?
It's usually while I'm writing, sometimes a little bit before if I have, an idea of where it's going, usually while I'm writing. And I do a lot of research. People seem to think that we just invent things out of our minds. And I guess some people maybe do, but I'm constantly researching. I was researching the other day to see exactly when flip phones were used to make sure that I had that right, And readers are smart. Oh man, they'll nail you if you get it wrong. So I have a friend who got in a lot of trouble with somebody because she wasn't feeding the cat often enough. So I make sure that Peaches gets fed.
Right.
But yeah, I am constantly looking things up all the time. And for this series in particular, because I do like involving just a little bit of history in it. It's just so intriguing to me to know how things were. And Georgetown is so old. I mean, a lot went on there. So kind of interesting.
Yeah, I would imagine, like, especially with, your type of cozy mysteries, that you have to put a lot of effort into that research. Otherwise, people might think that what you had as an accident is a clue to a mystery that then they're, scratching their heads to solve and can't solve because it's not actually a clue.
Yes, it's absolutely true. You can really mess up. You really can. And people will catch it. They will see it and let me know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I do try to be precise. I mean, I can't be perfect because I'm not.
Of course.
I try.
Right. No, I say that as someone who, I'm not very good with mysteries and puzzles and things like that. So that's why I like cozy mysteries. It kind of stretches my brain a little bit. But I definitely find myself thinking, oh, every single thing is a clue. Every single thing leads to an answer, when it doesn't. It's just part of the story.
And there are red herrings. I mean, I hate to say it, but we do it on purpose to throw you off, So there will be those little things that aren't important to the story. They just happen to be red herrings to make you think, oh, he has a hat.
Right. Have you, I'm curious, I like to ask mystery authors this in particular, again, because I'm not good at mysteries and I'm not good at secrets. I will spill a secret at the drop of a hat. So I'm curious if you've ever accidentally revealed, maybe accidentally given away a clue or accidentally given away a hint, either when talking with readers or doing promotions online. You're always juggling so many books. Have you ever accidentally spoiled something?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Good. Yeah, knock on wood.
But I will say that when I was thinking about what I was going to say today, um, I all of a sudden it dawned on me that I was thinking about A Colorful Scheme, which is the
Mhm.
book that will be coming out in 2022.
Right.
And I thought, oh my gosh. And I actually this morning got up and started listening to Murder Outside the Lines on
Mhm.
audio. And I'd forgotten how much fun it was. I've really been enjoying listening to it all day as I went about, my life doing things. I don't think that I have given anything away yet, but a lot of reviewers do. So,
Right. You always have to be careful when reading reviews. So, readers out there who are going to the reviews to find out if they'll like the book, just be careful. Sometimes things get spoiled there.
sometimes,
Um, but I'm glad you brought up that you do have another book coming up next year. Or you said 2022, right? Now my calendar's off. Okay.
I checked with Elizabeth this morning, and she said it's
Mhm.
scheduled for September.
Yes. So we did have a couple of readers in the comments asking if there are, more books coming out. There are, Krista, I know you're very busy working on books.
I really am. I'm writing my last book of the year right now,
Mhm.
and I plan to take 2 weeks off.
Perfect.
I hope, and start again with I guess the next Diva book.
Mhm.
The Diva Says Cheesecake exclamation mark. I love that we put that in the title.
Yes.
That should be out. Let me see. I have it written down. May 31st, 2022.
Hmm.
That'll be May, and then A Colorful Scheme will be in September, and I think A Good Dog's Guide to Murder will be in probably November.
Hmm. So you've got lots coming up. So readers, there's plenty of Krista Davis mysteries to wrap yourselves up in for a little while.
And they differ. They do differ. I mean, if you
Yes.
like cooking, I do have people who write and say that one or the other is their favorite.
Hmm.
So I know that everybody has their preferences. Good for you. I mean, I'm glad. That
Yes.
everybody likes something.
Well, that does make me curious. Are you more of like a hobby baker, or do you like to do the arts and crafts like coloring or knitting or anything
I
like
am
that?
definitely a hobby baker.
Hmm.
Love to do that. Probably because I like to eat. I mean, I
That's a very good
have
point.
some cupcakes in back of me.
Yes.
In this book, let me tell you, the pumpkin cupcake recipe I think is my favorite of all.
Hmm.
I made them again this fall, and they're so good. So don't be afraid to make that recipe. Those are the ones from the last Diva book with the chocolate cupcakes, because someone had a birthday here and she requested chocolate. So
And I can tell readers that is a very good recipe. I made that one a couple months ago,
did you?
actually.
Oh,
Yes.
great. I have crocheted. I have done needlepoint. I've done a lot of those things, but I do like the baking. And now I don't have time for any of them anyway because I'm always writing. So,
Hmm.
and now my hobby is coloring my covers.
So it's perfect. It works out.
It does.
Uh, so one last question, and then I will let you and our readers go for the afternoon. I always find word of mouth really great, especially when it comes to book recommendations. I find that I trust people that I get along with to tell me what they love to read. So I know a lot of our readers love your books and love what you write and what you work on. Do you have a keeper book or a book that you love to recommend or that you're reading, or just a book you want to give a shout out to our readers?
How about a whole series?
That works perfect.
I am just addicted to Agatha Raisin Mysteries by MC Beaton. Agatha is a little bit of a curmudgeon. She's a little bit selfish. She's a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about Agatha, but she's so funny. She cracks me up. I love those mysteries. And I haven't read one yet that I didn't love.
That's
So
perfect.
she always has man trouble like Sophie. She can't
Mm-hmm.
decide between her man. And anyway, I really enjoy Agatha Raisin. Yes.
Perfect. I do love a funny, curmudgeonly character, so I'm definitely going to be checking that out this weekend. So I'm glad you gave that a shout out.
Great. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, Krista, that is the end of our half hour. So I want to say a huge thank you again for joining us for the afternoon. and, answering some of our readers' questions. And readers, thank you to all of you who tuned in and, chatted with us. It was really fun to watch the comments coming in. So thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. And thank you to everyone who came. I'm always so afraid that no one will be here. And I can't see who came, but I'm trusting you that there were people here asking questions.
Yes, we had
everybody.
We've had quite a few, and everyone is very impressed with the cupcakes in the background and the beautiful kitchen in the background. We have lots of compliments in the comment section.
Thank you very much. And if it makes you feel any better, I had to clean the kitchen for this. So there you go.
So, just like the rest of us.
Just like the rest of you. And cleaning is the one thing that I don't love.
Right.
You do. You have
Perfect.
to.
Well, thank you again so much. And thank you to everyone. I will chat with you all again soon. We do have some more author Q&As coming up in the near future. So keep an eye out on the group page. All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Bye.